I grew up in this house, not permanently, but enough that it left fingerprints on my brain. My mom was finishing school, working 2 jobs to keep us afloat, so I stayed with my great-grandparents a lot, especially in the summers. It's out in the woods, tucked down a long gravel drive where a phone service still barely works, and everything smells like old wood, plastic, and damp. The backyard was my favorite part. The trees always seemed taller there, like they were hiding something. There were overgrown stone garden beds full of lilies and rusted wind chimes that never stopped spinning. At the very back of the yard, almost swallowed by the trees, was the well. My great-grandmother warned me about it every single time I got close. "Don't go near the well," she'd say, her voice sharp, in that very specific old lady way. "Something dark lives in there." Not a joke, not a ghost story, not a sly smile or dramatic flair. Just a warning, and she never elaborated. So I stayed away. Even as a kid, I felt that weird pressure near it, like my ears would pop if I got too close. I moved out when I was too young and married the wrong person. Ended up in a new state with someone who got colder and crueler the longer I stayed. When things got bad, I left. Just packed a bag and drove north until I crossed the state line back into Ohio. My great-grandmother had passed it just weeks before. The house was mine. No ceremony, no moment, just a phone call and a key left in my hand. I told myself it would be temporary, just until I figured things out. The first night back was quiet. Too quiet, honestly. The kind of silence that presses in on your temples and makes you feel like you're being watched. I chalked it up to being alone. My brain, always eager to spiral. The second night, I found the brick. It was sitting right in the center of the kitchen table. Dark red, heavy, wet, still dripping onto the placemat like someone had just pulled it out of the ground. I picked it up. It was old. Too old to have come from anything inside the house. The surface was gritty, and flakes of moss clung to the edges. I flipped it over. Something was scratched into the underside, not etched, gouged, like it had been done with fingernails. "You left her there." The faucet behind me turned on. I jumped, whipped it around. The water was running, brown, smelled like rust and something worse, like pond scum or breath that had been held too long. I shut it off with shaking hands, and I noticed my phone was glowing on the counter. I hadn't touched it in an hour. When I looked at the screen, it was glitching, numbers flickering across it in a long loop. 77777777. The lock screen was no longer my wallpaper. It was a photo, one I never took. The well, taken at night. And standing next to it was a little girl, wet, barefoot. She looked exactly like I did at age 7. She was staring directly at the camera, or maybe at me. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I went to the hallway closet and pulled out one of the old photo albums my great-grandmother used to keep on the bottom shelf. The green one with the peeling vinyl. My name was written on the inside cover in her handwriting. I flipped through the pages of birthdays and playgrounds and thrift store Halloween costumes until I found what I didn't know I was looking for. The backyard. The well. In one photo, I'm smiling next to it, holding something small in my hand. A coin? A rock? No, a tooth. I remember it then. I lost a tooth that summer. My great-grandmother told me if I wanted to make a real wish, I had to drop it into the well. Something real for something real. The next photo made my stomach drop. I'm standing over the well, looking down into it. No smile this time. And on my shoulder, just barely visible in the shadow, a hand. Too long, pale skin, and tight like it had been soaking in water. You could almost see something moving beneath the surface of it. I pulled the photo from the sleeve. It was wet. I burned it in the old ashtray she used to keep by her chair. The screaming it made wasn't from the fire. It came from the photo. And when the flames died, there wasn't ash. There was a clump of hair. Black, wet, still warm. Then something heavy fell in the next room. I called it out, half angry, half terrified, and a voice answered. My voice. It echoed from the dark, like someone mimicking me from behind the wall. Why did you come back? The house changed after that. The wind chimes were silent. When I tried to leave, the front door wouldn't budge. The trees outside pressed up against the windows like they'd grown overnight, sealing me in. But the well had moved closer. I could see it now, right outside the window. Closer than the porch, closer than the road. Like the house itself had been dragged to it. And when I turned back towards the kitchen, there was someone sitting at the table. Me. Or something pretending. Pale, bloated, soaked like it had just crawled out of something deep and cold. Its eyes were mine, but they didn't blink. It reached into its pocket and set something on the table, wrapped it in cloth, unfolded it slowly. A tooth. Small, familiar, still streaked with mud. Carved into the enamel was the letter R. The thing smiled. You gave us something real. And I felt it then. The pull. From the backyard. From below. From the well. Something came out of it. Something wearing me. And now, I think it's my turn to go in.